I used to do lots of things.
I used to do things and I'd say things and Jesus I was evil. Take things and break things and Jesus I was evil. I never shook baby.
All right. Welcome, everyone, to the latest episode of the Reckless Musecast. We have a special guest, Jim. Thanks for joining us, man. We've been friends on Twitter for a while now, and we kind of bonded over our love of old cult horror movies, trashy B movies, and stuff like that, just kind of old nostalgia stuff. So I'm glad to. Oh, you're also like our number one fan too of the Reckless Musecast. So
yeah, like I listen to you guys on the way to class like every day. So yeah,
awesome, man. That's awesome. Thank you for being
hear,
such a great supporter of ours. So since this is October, we're gonna be doing a lot of horror talking. But one thing we want to talk to you about first is you work at a drive-in movie theater, which is awesome. So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about kind of like your experience there and like, you know, kind of how it's different from going to a movie theater, like, you know, you actually sit down and everything.
okay, definitely. Well, like I work at the Transit Drive-In. It's this family-owned place outside of Lockport, New York, or it's actually in Lockport, New York, outside of Buffalo.
Gotcha.
But long story short is like it's this kind of like little family owned operation, and I guess this season when I started that they just got a new owner. So like I never really met the previous owners, you know, that used to run the place. So it's been all kind of a fresh experience. And he basically hired me towards the end of the of like side of it for the snack bar, and like right off the bat, like, you know, it's a really cool job. Like it's a lot more fast like paced than you'd expect it to be, you know. And it's like, oh, it's just serving popcorn, you know, what's that? It's like it you know, it can be like a slick you know, job in, you know, in certain spots, but for the most part, like, you know, I'm constantly going, you know what I mean?
Nice.
One of the perks of working there has been like you can go in and, like, you know, see some movies, bring your family, and I've had the benefit of, you know, taking advantage of that. So it's like, you know, I don't know, just the place is all around pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I love that experience. Like when you get to experience something that's more classic and vintage, that you know, something that's kind of a rarity these days. Because for me, it's like, you know, on the one hand, you can kind of get caught up in the glamour of new movie theaters where it's like, oh, they got reclining seats and they got bars. Like, oh, that's all cool and stuff. But when you go to like a small little theater that's family owned and like the popcorn's $1.50 and it's just like, holy shit, like this is what it was like back in the day. Like it's not glamorous, but I like it more that way though. There's something that's just, and the seats are really cramped, but you know that everybody who's there, they're there because they love the movie. Like they're there for the experience. It's not just to see the latest thing. It's like, no, like this is actually like they went out of the way to go to like a small family owned community movie theater. So that's awesome, man. And you get to relive that. So you work there several nights a week.
Yeah, like right now, like we're kind of past the summer season, so we're only open on weekends. But like from like March, April, like, you know, depending on the weather and how nice it gets, you know, they open it for the week, and that's kind of when you see the higher traffic is, you know, when school starts letting out and stuff like that.
Are they playing? Do they play like only new movies that a regular theater is playing, or do they just kind of play whatever?
Well, they kind of do both. Like for the most part, like they've been playing the newer movies and stuff like that. But like, to be honest, like since COVID, a lot of the options for the theaters have kind of really went down. So it's like, you know, we kind of ended up with certain movies like for kind of a long time, like Top Gun, like that went for a while, you know, the Minions movie that was there for a while, you know, but he did bring in other things like, you know, Trick or Treat, you know, Lost Boys, you know, we did Tremors, we did the Dusk Till Dawn, the one with Clooney, so it's just like he's been mixing it up, which is like pretty cool. And I feel like it's the older stuff kind of draws more of a crowd than you'd expect it to,
Yeah,
absolutely. I've never been to a drive-in theater. I always wanted to go, and they're just not. I've looked it up before. Where I live in New Jersey, there's like one in all of South Jersey, and it's like 45 minutes away. So I'm definitely plan to go to that at some point, but because that's a really cool experience. It looks like.
I see that's the one thing that I kind of always took advantage of, and took for granted, to be honest, is like we've always lived like right near one, and it never really clicked to me that a lot of people don't have that near them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and I've noticed that since I started tweeting about it, that people are like, just like post whatever pictures that you got, like just give me the experience.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it feels like a very like American experience that I think more people just associate with movies themselves, like seeing people see movies and at drive-in movies in movies instead of actually doing it. Because I just looked it up before we started recording. I think there's like 4 in all of New Jersey, like 3 are up in North Jersey, and 1 is down here, kind of in the middle of South Jersey. But I did always appreciate. I always liked when theaters played old. I remember seeing they re-released E.T. when I was like maybe 14 or 15 or something, and that was really fun because I wasn't alive even when E.T. first came out, right? That was like the 80s.
Yeah.
E.T. was the 80s, right? Yeah, I wasn't even alive yet.
It's like 81, I think.
Early 80s. So yeah, I wasn't even born yet, and I think that was really cool to see in theaters. And I remember there's this cool single screen theater in New Orleans that I would go to called the Britannia, and they played To Kill a Mockingbird when the new Ghost of the Watchmen came out, the second book. And that was really fun to do because obviously, none of us were alive for that, and to go see that in a theater was really cool.
Yeah, I went to my. I've only been to a drive-in twice, and they were both in LA. Actually, the first time it was for Halloween 2020, so it was still during the pandemic, and it was for a Joe Bob Briggs short film festival thing. It was pretty cool. Like most of the short films weren't very good, but it was cool because we went because there was so little to do during the pandemic for Halloween. So it was like, okay, it's outdoors. So it was one of the few things we could actually do. But I love how they had people walking around because everyone has started to wear masks and shit. The staff, they actually went with it. So they were all dressed up like zombie nurses and zombie doctors. So that kind of justified why they had to wear a mask and everything. Cool. But it was cool. It was almost like tailgating though. There's this sports tailgating thing, but for movie nerds. Because I drive a Toyota 4Runner, so we just opened up the back of my car and we're just eating junk food and we're watching these shitty short horror films. It's just it's not something you get to experience very much.
Yeah, I see. That's what's kind of cool. Is the same people that own the Transit also own another theater. They own the Amherst Theater, and that's in Buffalo. It's right across the street from UB. So it's it's definitely a college community theater, and they have that kind of vibe going on. You know what I mean? And it's the first thing that I saw there, was Return of the Living Dead. Oh, and nice. I mean, if you're gonna see that movie, see it on the big screen if you can. I'm telling you, that is the way to see it. I took my wife to see it. It was the first time she ever saw it. It was just awesome, just watching her react to it. It was a great time, and it's just and right now they got this whole season going on where it's they've already showed Wes Craven's Deadly Friend, and they're coming up with Monster Squad, and after that they're doing Phantom of the Mall and Christmas Evil. You know what I mean? So and it draws a crowd. It's they pack their early showing out. You know what I mean? And they do raffles and all kinds of stuff like that. So I mean, it's definitely something to look up if you're ever in Buffalo, the Thursday Terror guys, because they're making it happen out here.
I love it when theaters do themed nights. It's like where it was like, oh, like this is a double feature of blah 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 or whatever. Like I mentioned before in the show, but Quentin Tarantino owns a small movie theater in West LA called the New Beverly Theater, and so the tickets are like, even for the double features, they're like $12, and then for like just to watch one movie, it's like $8. So they're cheap, and it's a small like one screen theater. All the food is like less than $10, which is like dirt cheap compared to how fucking expensive it is nowadays. But it's like popcorn. I think he put his foot down. It's like popcorn's like fucking Costco. He's just like, no, like hot dog's gonna be $1.50. Soda's gonna be 75 cents.
That's awesome.
And when you go to the bathroom, there's gonna be a speaker that's gonna be playing what the movie is, so you don't miss anything.
That's awesome.
And then he'll do double features where it's like, oh, we're gonna do Western nights, and then we're gonna do Boris Karloff night or sort of that sort of thing. But I love that sort of retro experience though, man.
Yeah, I do too, and I do want to get into some specifics. And you mentioned Wes Craven. I watched Hellraiser last night, but I want to address. What was that?
Clyde Barker.
Oh, sorry, Clyde Barker. Sorry, Wes Craven is
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Scream. Wait,
Scream? Yeah, he did Scream.
Scream. Okay, sorry, Clyde Barker. All right, well, I've seen all those also. Nightmare, and I want to talk about kind of the icons of the 70s and 80s too.
Yeah.
But Jim, I want to address your background, which is a library of DVDs for people just listening. So can you, because I know you post a lot about this, and I love what I've noticed, and part of that is meeting Joe and starting this podcast. Like, I'm really interested in people who have interests, like passions, I should say, even if I don't share them, right? And can you please tell everyone why you collect DVDs? And
okay, it actually does have like one of those, well, it all started kind of stories. When I was a kid, like I was actually how old my son is right now. My son Carl, I was 4. My parents went to a wedding in Maine, and we did the whole ordeal. And on the way back home, we stopped in Salem. And while we were there, I managed to get crushed by like a big cigar Indian. Like, it fell on me, and like I was like messing with it, and the bottom was rotted out, and it fell on me, broke my foot, totally crushed it. Yeah, and there wasn't even like a hospital nearby that could accommodate me, so they had to like drive me back to Children's Hospital in Buffalo. So it's like that all ensued, and it's just like, long story short is my parents ended up suing them, and I got a settlement that I would get on my 18th, 19th, 20th, and 21st birthday. So starting on my 18th birthday, I started to spending the cash, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, wow, $5,000 for my first payment. I'm rich,
Yeah.
So it's like, I just started buying all kinds of crap, and at first it was just random. But at that time, we had different video stores. We had a couple own family ones. We had Blockbuster. If you went farther uptown, more towards like the Buffalo end of it, you could find like Hollywood Video, and they had stuff on clearance regularly. So it's like, I had the money, they had the movies. It kind of started there. And for a while, like, that was all going good. And then the places, slowly started closing down, and I kind of didn't do it anymore. But then recently, these places started opening up, all these antique places, and and they're selling a lot of like old video rental DVDs. So I'm like, okay, here we go again. So it's like they're a lot cheaper this time around. It's like $1, $2, but it's just like, throw it in the hoard. It's like, in this way, the internet goes out, you can't stream something, we always got something to watch.
That's very true. And I don't own a DVD player. I thought about getting one for that exact reason. Is sometimes I don't want to. I have a whole list of movies like on my TV, and I watch a ton of movies. I usually do like 2, 3, maybe like 4 a week or so. I'm just like checking them off and adding new ones. But sometimes like I don't want to. I already pay for streaming services, so I don't want to like have to pay for an individual movie unless I really, really need to see it. Like maybe I really want to watch something that's up for an Oscar that everyone's talking about. But like sometimes like I could just go to libraries and rent DVDs that they might have for free in my local library that I don't have to pay for. So I have considered doing that. But I do. So your preferred method of watching movies is it DVDs? Like, do you just go straight to your library?
Like I'm gonna be honest, like I kind of mix it up. Like I have the streaming services too, you know what I mean? And I like, you know, like I like get Hulu for, you know, like just like different TV shows, like, you know, What We Do in the Shadows and stuff like that. I get Netflix because, like, you know, I like Stranger Things, you know what I mean? But like honestly, like I don't know, like I feel like when I see something that's really good, that like I really enjoyed, like I kind of, like part of me just kind of feels a little possessive about it, I guess, and you know, lack of a better term, and it just like kind of wants to own it, you know what I mean?
I totally get it. I think I share that not with movies but with books. Like I've never read a Kindle. I never will read a Kindle. I love that Kindle exists because I sell my books on Kindle also. As in paperback, and then people in South Africa and Sweden and Australia can get my books much easier. So I love it, but I personally
democratizes books and everything. So
and just expands it. But I will never personally read one because, like you, I like having it. I write in it. I write where I bought it. I also, like you, I like to get from like independent bookstores as much as possible. Unless I really can't find something, I won't buy it on Amazon. Like I'll try and find it in independent bookstores. So I do get that part.
The other benefit too of buying things on DVD and Blu-ray is that you get the special features that you don't.
Exactly.
Disney Plus, I think, has some, but for the most part, it's, you know, streaming features. You don't get that.
Yeah, you don't get commentary either.
Exactly. I remember one of my all-time favorite audio commentaries is Bruce Campbell's for The Evil Dead, the first one. It's so good because the whole time he's just pointing out like flaws, like oh hey look, if you look closely, you can see the camera or whatever. You can see the cameraman, or you see the reflection there. Or something. And just a bunch of funny stories. He's really funny. I remember, so I have a copy of Evil Dead, the DVD, the special edition one where like the outside is in like that sort of Book of the Dead. It's like the sort of rubbery
Necronomicon.
The Necronomicon, yeah. You know, so that one had two audio commentaries. The Bruce Campbell one's hilarious, and then the other one was with Sam Raimi and the producer Robert Tappert. I just remember as a kid thinking that it was really boring, the two of them. But maybe because I was a kid, I didn't understand filmmaking. They were getting more technical with filmmaking. Whereas Bruce Campbell, he's just telling funny stories and pointing out all like the flaws and everything. But yeah, I mean, like, it was also really inspiring when I was young and starting to get into filmmaking, hearing the filmmakers and the actors talking about their experience making a film. I don't know if you ever watched like any like Robert Rodriguez movies, his first one's El Mariachi, and then like
I that's in here.
if you ever get into filmmaking, listen to his audio commentary on that because he shot that movie for I think it was like $11,000 or $7,000, like something like a pretty small amount, and it's nothing but stories of how scrappy he made a feature-length film for next to nothing. And it was just like, hey, you know, see this really cool tracking shot? Like we had to like borrow that wheelchair from a hospital and we had to return it the next day, sort of thing. So it's like we had a time crunch, but it's just like it's all these crazy, weird little stories of how he made an hour and a half long movie for next to nothing.
That's very cool. And you brought up Evil Dead. Evil Dead is a very similar story where like after we're done recording, I'll look up. There's this YouTuber that you guys might know who like breaks down horror movies and talks about things like the background. He's British or Scottish or one of those, and he talks about how like in some scenes when they're up in the house, they're like in one state, and then when they go, like let's say California or something, and then when they go in, they're in like Michigan because that's where it's shot, and they're all like from Michigan or something, so they're like in the basement. It's like really cool how that happens. Don't quote me on exactly that, but that was an example, or you know what they're like the makeup, and it's like, oh, that's just like rotten milk or whatever. That's and how he makes the very iconic noise of the spirit like roaming around the house. It's kind of amazing what people can do. And then on the flip side of that, how shitty some movies are that have like gigantic budgets and how there's really no excuse for that. But I wanted to ask, and this is up to either of you or both of you, do you remember the first DVD you ever bought?
Like I don't, but I do remember the most memorable one, and again, kind of keeps coming back to the same ones.
Yeah.
It was Return of the Living Dead. I don't know if any of you guys remember Media Play.
Oh yeah,
it was.
yeah.
From
They
there.
had one growing up. I bought so many fucking horror movies from that place because they were always on sale. There was always
What is it?
It was like, I don't know, like kind of like FYE music.
Oh yeah,
better.
yeah.
Like
we
it
had
was
FYE.
bigger, man. It was like a superstore, and it's like they had vinyl, cassettes, VHS,
Like a Sam Goody?
DVDs, like
similar to Sam Goody.
yeah, kind of. And it's just like that was also when I kind of first learned about out of print movies, because up to this point, Return of the Living Dead had been out of print. It came out on VHS, and then they were done with it, and it never had existed on DVD yet. You know what I mean? Like this was all kind of new,
Right.
So it's like I pre-ordered it. It's ready to come out. I show up, and they were like all sold out, and they like sold my copy, and I was pissed. I was like,
Yeah.
oh man, you give me my fucking money back. Like, forget it.
Isn't that why you reserved it?
Yeah, it's just like, what's the point? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's like they gave me the money back. They're like, oh, I'm sorry. And like 3 days go by, kind of forgot about it, and like they called me. So my stuff must have still, my numbers must have still been on file. And it was the manager, and they're like, yeah, if you come down to the store, we have a copy and we put it aside for you, So I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool, So I went down because I wanted it, you know what I mean? So I went in, and they just like gave it to me. Like they didn't charge me or nothing. They're like, here, you're good.
Nice.
So so that was the most memorable one. But honestly, I can't really remember the first DVD I bought. Like I don't know about you, Joe. Maybe you can remember yours.
I do actually. It was Spaceballs, the Mel Brooks.
Really? Okay,
Yeah,
that's a good one.
And I think I got that one at Media Play too, actually. But yeah, dude, Media Play. Oh my god, dude! I remember. So it was at the dude. You're bringing back all these memories for me. There was a mall in a city near where I was living. It's called the Great Mall, and it was like we would go there almost every other Friday night because it was we'd go get food and then we just walk around and whatever. But I remember Media Play. I used to spend hours there because they had fucking everything at Media Play: CDs, tapes, cassettes, musical instruments too. Sometimes they would have something like sheet music and stuff, and then
Stereos.
DVDs. Yeah, equipment and then T-shirts. So it was just like if you were like a teenage kid into, I that was also where I bought a lot of heavy metal CDs at the time too. That freaked my parents out. But yeah, Media Play is a big part of my childhood.
There was something about, and I know a lot of people like our generation. I don't know, Jim, exactly how old you are. Joe and I are around the same age.
Early 30s,
yeah. And although it's definitely better now. I get that. That you can just get basically any movie ever made. Like mostly you can find them all, and they're all available somehow if you pay for them at least.
Sure.
But there definitely was something special like going to rent a movie on like a Friday night and all the jacket covers and like hoping that there's one behind it. And like I have so many jacket covers like seared into my brain. There's like what like one of them like probably because I was like a horny little kid. The heavy metal. And like Heavy Metal 2000, just like the busty babes with a giant with a gun. Like some of the really scary ones that like hurry past. I think one of them was like the Jack Frost. Was that it, or the Snowman? Another one that had some
House is another memorable one for me with like the hand.
The doorknob. Yeah.
Mine. What was the one that had like a skull with a snake like going through the eyes and. I don't remember. It was some horror one that like I just shouts video store for me. But I have one, and of course the funny part of it is that you kind of got like sometimes you got like one shot. Now if you rent a movie or on Netflix, it sucks. After a little bit, you just like change it. But back then, I used to go on vacation with my family, to actually where I live very close to now. And my brother and our like two best friends, like every night, like one of us would get to like go pick the movie with my dad. And I lost my privileges because I went and they told me it's like, no, you go and get like this movie. I don't remember what it was. It was like, we want to watch this tonight. We all agreed. And I went and I was like, no, you know what? I'm going to surprise everyone with Undercover Brother. and they're gonna love it. And they're like, "What did you do?" And for years they would. I was probably like 12 when this happened, or 13, and I still get crap for it. And they never let me go pick another movie. But that was part of the fun. That was part of the fun. That you can mess up. You get some shitty movie or something, and I don't know. Some people like Undercover Brother. I had a couple of lines that I think we still quote, but overall not very good.
I love stories like that though, because I remember like when I was a kid, and like I was just starting to get into horror movies, and I was like in elementary school, maybe even middle school. But I remember on Fridays, my mom would often take me and my sister. She would pick us up from school, and then we would go to our VHS rental place and get a movie at the end of the week. And it was called Video 2000, and it was like this family-owned place. And I remember like we would always like we each got to pick a movie, and I would usually get something more family-friendly, like Star Wars or Back to the Future or something. But whenever my mom was in line, and I always hoped that it would be a long line. I got happy that it was a long line because I would wander to the horror section, and like I didn't watch any of these movies until like years later. But I just remember because this is still in the age of VHS, and those 80s like the painted covers. Like it's like I just remember being freaked out by them, but also being like so like, oh my god, like the Evil Dead. What's this about?
The best.
Oh, Friday the 13th Part 7. Oh my god, they made 7 of these. Oh my god.
Yeah.
But it's like being freaked out, but also being like really like, oh, I knew I shouldn't be here, but like my mom, she can't see me because she's in line. But it's that probably is the thing that probably set me on the path of like, oh, you can't go in that section. That's not for kids.
And
like
definitely.
But like,
did you guys have the curtained off porn section?
Yeah.
There's a couple of places that had it, but like by the time like I really started like looking at stuff on my own, like okay, Dad, I'm gonna go look over here. We were like kind of looking at Blockbuster, and Blockbuster, they nixed the whole porn section. You know what I mean? So it's like the only thing in the back was like the manager's office.
I remember this one time when I was a kid. I was probably a teenager. I was a teenager, and I spent like weeks and weeks doing chores, and I think I made like $80 for my parents. And then it was just before school started. My mom, she took me to the Great Mall, and she's like, "Okay, I'll meet me back here in an hour. Go buy some school clothes with the money that I gave you for your for all the chores that you've done." She thought I was going to go like buy clothes and stuff, but I remember I went directly to Media Play, and I got the Friday the 13th box set. And then it had like the first 8. And I remember she got so mad at me. But it's like, yeah, but this is my money though. And she goes, yeah, but like you were supposed to go shop for clothes. And I was like, nothing fit me.
It's just like, nothing, absolutely nothing.
I went to Ross. I went to here. Blah, blah, blah. Nothing fit me, Mom. So yeah, sorry. And then she got so pissed. I got the Friday the 13th thing. But I was like, sweet, like 15 hours of tits and gore. So. But
15 hours of tits and gore.
You chose right, in my opinion.
I still have that box set too. But yeah, man, I love it. And we've definitely nerded out over like our favorite like horror movie posters from the 80s. Like they were all like heavy metal covers and punk rock covers and classic rock covers. Like they were all painted. Like that's so cool. Like they were so elaborate.
I still go like, and I'll go to the library sometimes and just kind of like walk around to get a break. And I love like really now, because now book covers, so many of them are just like Instagramified, where everything is just like pastels and big print and like very simple. And I think that was nice for a time, but like if you look at new releases now, they all look the same. And I miss the old kind of like intricate sci-fi or fantasy or horror novel covers that like had so much more detail to them. And they're just like, they're not very appealing, but they're fun.
And there were times where the covers were better than the movie, it's just like there's very forgettable movies, but you walk by and it's like that cover just like grabbed you like, man, what's this?
Heavy metal.
I like heavy metal. I like it. That was a cool one.
It was pretty good. The music is fun.
The music.
It doesn't, a lot of it doesn't really make sense. But I know I don't know. Some of it's very fun. Adult cartoons I think can be really enjoyable, and some of them you're just like scratching your head like what is going on. Some of them are very fun, but they're just like a bunch of strung together vignettes with like horny fairies and what is it? I'm confusing heavy metal also with wizards, but same shit, like very similar.
That was Ralph
things like-
Bakshi, I think.
Yeah, Ralph Bakshi. Yeah, which Wizards, I don't know, man.
I've never seen that, but I know he was kind of like a pioneer in adult.
He was a pioneer, and I give a lot of credit for that.
Yeah.
It's out there.
Yeah.
It's out there. Worth seeing. But a great cover with Peace was the guy's name, like the assassin's name was Peace, ironic or something, and I don't know. I feel like that's a good example. That it's like I want to love this movie because the poster is so awesome, but it was just okay.
An example of that for me is a movie came out in 1985. It's called Heavy Metal Zombies, I think, or Hard Rock Zombies.
Hard Rock Zombies.
Yeah, it's got a really cool cover. The movie's really disappointing. I don't know. Maybe I was expecting more when I first saw it. I was like 20 or something, so maybe I'll appreciate it more. But I love the painted poster for it. It was like at this graveyard, and then it had like a close up of like a tombstone, and then like a hand punching out of the grave, and it's got like a spiked bracelet, and then holding a guitar. I'm like, oh, dude, that's so fucking awesome. And the movie was just really weird and wacky and silly, and it wasn't even meant to be a feature-length film. It like they shot random footage to be in the background of another movie. I think it was called American Drive-In or something. And so the joke was that they were watching this dumb movie, but they're like, oh, we have a few extra $1,000. Let's make a feature out of this. So, and it definitely those few $1,000 definitely show. Like it's just
it's like when they tried to make. Remember the Geico like cavemen commercials? Yeah,
that's right.
And then they tried to make a show of it, and it's like, okay, just because people like this commercial doesn't mean you should go make a series out. Did it get past an episode or two?
I don't think so. I went past.
I think it had like a small run. Like I don't know. There was a couple episodes.
There's a couple episodes.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys know this, but the caveman from those like show those commercials in that show is the guy who played Herman Munster in the new Monsters movie. It's Jeff Daniel Phillips.
Oh, really?
The guy that did that.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, like I just found that out recently, and it was so it kind of makes sense why they like had him do Herman Munster, because
he's like, you look good with big eyebrows.
Doing that. Yeah, it's like you already kind of look like a caveman.
Joe, do you want to do the lyrics or?
Yeah, you guys want to play a little game? Guess that horror movie.
Sure.
Okay, so most of these are from 80s horror movies that are relatively well known, at least for like cult movie standards. Some of them are a little more obscure, but I'll start us off with something a little easier. Let's see one thing. Where's that one? Hold on, I got 10 pages of lyrics, so they're okay. Here we go. So this is from the very first line. You guys should get this one. No more room in hell. Putrid rotting smell. Hunger, need to kill. Ripping through the earth. Lust for blood and death. Seeking human flesh. Hunger of the dead. Human corpses bled. You guys catch that first line? No more room in hell.
So is it a zombie movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because when there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.
Yeah.
Right.
So this is from Mortician. The song's called Zombie Apocalypse.
Which I love. Dawn of the Dead, the 2004 version, is like one of my favorite zombie movies. I'm a huge. I love horror in general, and then for subgenres, zombie and exorcism. Exorcism was probably my favorite, but zombies up there, and Dawn of the Dead 2004 is like probably my favorite one. I do have Night of the Living Dead on my watch list for October, but
which
now,
one? The original 68 or the remake?
The original. The
original is great. I love that one. All right, here's another one. Christmas Eve, 1971. The family visits Granddad at the nut house. Vegetative, he says not a word till the parents are gone. Then he says to the kid, "You know what happens on Christmas Eve? He comes to town to punish the naughty. This is the scariest goddamn night of the year. You see Santa Claus, you run for your life."
What? This is an 80s horror movie?
80s horror movie, yeah.
80s.
It's a Christmas horror movie?
It's a Christmas themed horror film, so that should narrow it down.
Just gonna throw a guess out there. Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Yes, it is.
I don't know that one.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, you guys. Okay, this is another 80s one. You guys should know this one. Dense dark forest, dismal fog, a spectral force perverts these woods. A flight prevails, frantic escape. The unearthly horrors at each turn they wait. Wandering roots, they creak and move, slithering toward what mortal life intrudes. Terrified eyes, open wide, ensnare her flailing limbs to the earth, they are tightly tied. Raped in hatred by vines of thorn, by the evil dead, two ribbons ripped and torn.
It's Evil Dead.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I shouldn't have said that last line.
It's like, obviously.
But this song is called The Black. This is from the band is called The Black Dahlia Murder, and the song is called Rape and Hatred by Vines of Thorn. So, yeah, I mean, there have been a few movies about a woman getting raped by a tree, I think.
Yeah.
It's a whole subgenre. That's a really, really, really hard one. Okay, all right, okay. How about this one? I kind of don't want to read the first line because it kind of gives it away.
All right, don't give it away.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Blank of the blank. pages bound in blanky blank. Feasting the beast from the blood, the words were said. I am unseen, dreamt the sacred passage aloud, trapped in a dream of the Necronomicon. 7 Lords of Evil and Fatal Force. Yeah, it's Evil Dead too.
Yeah.
Oh, Jim, you should get this one. I'm rooting for you on this one. And then, Ben, you're Italian, so maybe you'll get this one.
All right.
Suicidal preacher hangs himself. Unfaithful servant goes straight to hell. When he returns, your life will end. Down from the skies, maggots descend. Least expecting his horrible face, your decayed guts you soon will taste. Do you know this? Oh, unholy feeling grows deep inside. Choking on your guts, you open wide. You guys know this one? Choking on your guts.
Sounds like the plot of City of the Living Dead.
That's it. You got it.
What does that do with Italians?
Because it's an Italian director.
Yeah. Who is it?
Yeah.
Lucio Fulci.
Fulci, yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay. I'll give you guys a hint with this one. This one's not from the 80s. This is from before. La 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 la. These are the lyrics. La 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 la. What have they done to its eyes? What have they done to its eyes?
Rosemary's Baby.
That's right.
Oh, good one.
Okay. All right. You guys should get this one. Getting ready for bed at a regular time is one of the most important habits you can learn. David has probably never stopped to think what a wonderful thing sleep is. Dreams are normal too. Going to bed at a regular time each night makes it easier to go right off to sleep. Rest your head. Here's a lullaby, a melody for your heavy eyes. Early to bed, early to die. Welcome to your worst nightmare.
The Nightmare on Elm Street.
That's right. Yeah. Okay, Jim, this one's, I think you might get this one. Decapitated head, licking your cunt, sucking all the blood. Sucking all the blood from your stump, intestinal guts taking their hold, leaving you dead, stiff and cold. Inject the reborn terror, the blood comes spurting out, another to control, add it to your count. Orders to destroy, rip and tear apart, wishing for the end, your dead is just the start. Controlling the minds of the bloodthirsty dead, unholy seizure slicing through your head. Dripping from your mouth comes a rancid smell, leaving your body a bloody mess, lobotomized corpse shredding your flesh.
That's intense. I don't even know.
There's a little more. Armies of the dead hail their leader's head, hungry for the flesh while it's warm and fresh. So there's a decapitated head. It's Reanimator.
Reanimator. Okay.
No, I don't know that one.
Sorry.
And this is a hard one. Okay, no. Here's an easier one. Cast to the fire, banned by the light, worship and listen to me, condemned in his mind in this evil place. Your fate is all that you'll see. I am the one to show you the path. Salvation is in the fields. Listen up, children, and follow me, or I'll let you pay the price of Malachi.
Children of the Corn. I know that one.
Yep. That's from Testament. One of my favorite 80s thrash bands.
Malachi.
Okay, all right. This is a little more obscure, but I'm curious to see if you guys have seen or heard of this one. Out to find the truth behind the myth of man eating man. Finding bodies tied up to a stake you cannot understand. Filled with ignorance, you watch them eat your friends. Ask for evidence, a hook right through your tits.
Is it Cannibal Holocaust?
Very close. It's the other one that I always get mixed up. Cannibal Ferox.
Oh.
They both came out like the same year, and they both had a very similar plot, and they're both Italian cannibal movies.
Yeah. I don't know that one, but Cannibal Holocaust is very controversial.
Yes. What's up with you Italians and like cannibals and zombies?
I don't know. It's a whole thing. They have some pretty vicious movies.
You guys love to eat, so maybe that's where it comes from. It's like
I saw. Did you see Classic Horror Story, the Netflix movie, which
No.
I had no idea was Italian when I put it on. It's okay. I mean, it's worth seeing. I was actually reading my reviews for my horror-thon last year, and I watched that one. It's pretty brutal. It has like a twist. Well, I don't want to ruin it if you're gonna watch it, but it's on Netflix, and it's pretty cool.
No,
but it's very violent.
Yeah.
Nice. Speaking of which, Jim, I've seen you've been tweeting about Terrifier.
Oh man,
Terrifier 2. I haven't seen him. I've seen like bits of the first one. It's from what I've seen, I'm not gonna lie, feels like a little much.
I would say that assessment is definitely correct. But see, the thing is that makes it great is like it was the lead up to it. You know what I mean? It was a very like fan driven film. Like, you know, I guess they had like I don't know if it was a GoFundMe, but it was like one of those campaigns where they raised their own cash, and it's just like they made this movie, you know, and then they cool. Just like went for it. So I feel like that kind of like helped, you know, in my feelings towards the movie. But it is definitely it's out there, man. Like it is brutal.
It feels like a throwback to like 80s horror.
Yeah, like it definitely, but it's like it's weird because like it kind of carves out its own thing, you know what I mean? And it's like, you know, you think that like, okay, you know, the creepy clown thing, it's a little faux pas, you know, like, but it's just like, you know, like long story short is the Art the Clown guy. He's got charisma. He's funny. You know what I mean? And it's just like he kind of brings you in with that and gets you laughing like, oh, this guy's great. And then he like does this fucked up shit. And it's just like it's got you like questioning. It's just like, you know, how you feel. Like, you know, like it's like just 2 seconds ago, you're like laughing at him, you know what I mean, and what he was doing. So I don't know. That's kind of what I liked about it. It's one of those like it makes you question like yourself, you know what I mean? Because like I'm not gonna lie, I kind of enjoyed watching some of the kills, like, you know what I mean? Because it's like the character just like really grinds on your nerves. Like, man, I just hope they get it, and then they do, and it's just like, yeah, you know what I mean?
Joe, have you seen the Terrifier movies?
No, and it's funny because whenever I would see like the poster for it or like movie cover of it, I would always come like, oh great, a killer clown, right? But my roommate Jim. A different Jim, obviously. We're both super into horror movies, and we're very we can get very snobby when it comes to horror movies. Like we're much more leaning when it comes to like old, like, you know, kind of classic, cult classic horror movies. But like when we go to see a movie, and we're like, it didn't scare me. Like, no, like that wasn't good enough. So we have similar tastes in that regard. But he's like, yeah, dude, I fucking hate clowns. I'm so sick of clowns. But Terrifier is actually a pretty good movie. Like you got to see it. Like it's worth it.
so
It's not just a dumb slasher flick. It's actually pretty cool.
All right.
So when he tells me that, I'm like, okay, like you've never really led me astray before, so like I trust your opinion. And the fact that you hate clowns and you still thought it was a good movie, like all right, okay, like I'll check it out. So,
I hate clowns too, man. Like so, and it's still Art the Clown. Like I would definitely go see 3, Part 4. Like like keep them coming. It was great.
Can we talk about just some
Death
of our
scenes?
favorites? Just some of our favorite horror movies or
I'm
subgenres? Yeah, well, I wanted to do so. I'm assuming, Jim, that you saw the poll and voted in it. I put what I thought would be the like Mount Rushmore of 80s or not 80s, 70s, 80s horror icons. If I missed someone or should have switched someone out, I had Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, and then Leatherface. I don't know if anyone else should be in there.
I mean,
maybe Pinhead.
Yeah.
No, dude, I want to talk about that. Can we?
Okay.
Fine. Let's talk about that.
Here we go.
I watched Hellraiser last night.
Which one though? The original or the remake?
The original. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
The original.
Sure. All right.
And like, I take notes when I watch movies on my phone, and then I use that to write the reviews. And like, I honestly thought it was a bait and switch until like the last. I liked it. I gave it like I have right now between 67 69. Like I can recommend it. The Cenobites rule. Like they're awesome. They look amazing.
Yeah.
Pinhead when he talks is very cool. That's where my name the Bucks comes from today. But like they're barely fucking in it.
Yeah.
And I get that could be budgetary or whatever. And these are all and I'm such a I'm just a slut for practical effects. I love them so much.
Yeah.
But like the movie itself, I did not love. Like I expected a lot more. And Pinhead, like, what does Pinhead actually do?
He kind
of just delegates.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't actually.
He's just kind of middle management.
Actually do anything. And
he doesn't chase you. You chase him. You got to open the box.
He doesn't even like. At least the one with the kind of shit in its mouth, like the barbed wire mouth. Cenobite. Like he like attacks you kind of and puts his fingers in your mouth. And
I love that.
And the girl, the female one, kind of like chases after, and I don't know. The other one is really gross, the fat one or whatever. Like they have names at the end. I don't remember all. Everyone knows Pinhead because he's on the cover and all that. But
there's
even
Butterball, the Chatterer.
Butterball,
Butterball. What's the chick's name? I can't remember her name.
I think at the end they have him, and he's not Pinhead in Hellraiser. Like they don't even call him that.
I think they
Hell
call
Priest.
him.
Yeah.
Is it Hell Priest? I don't even know, but obviously he's Pinhead, and he's iconic. It's an iconic look. Yeah. But like, no, I would not put Pinhead on the Mount Rushmore. And in my poll, of course, I snarkily put there's a correct answer. I want to see if you guys who you voted for, assuming you voted. If not, vote now. I just retweeted it. And
I picked Leatherface because I have a thing for barbecue. So
all right,
what about barbecue? So
what about you, Jen?
I like Michael Myers. Like I like Jason. Like so it's kind of a tie for those dudes.
If you could be killed by any one of those guys, who would it be?
Like,
if you could be killed,
like I guess probably if I had to choose, it'd probably be Freddy. Because
Freddy.
like
okay.
Because the what I like about Jason and Michael Myers is that they don't talk. That's what makes them scary. And I don't think I could handle that dealing with that. Freddy talks a bunch of shit.
Freddy really is the only one who's a shit talker.
And I feel like I could find his weakness, given enough shit talking. You know what I mean? Like, okay, we're gonna figure this dude out.
So I've watched those 4 over the past 2 years. I watched the other 3 last year, and I did Texas Chainsaw Massacre this year. My answer is Leatherface. I love Leatherface. I think it is talk about low budget movies that have a lasting impact. Like that one, I think it's the best Scream Queen. I'm blanking on her name right now. And Leatherface is just so menacing. And that final scene where he's like swinging around the chainsaw that's one of the best. That's like one of my favorite scenes in a horror movie. It is so good. So I don't know. My answer is Leatherface.
I definitely wouldn't want to die by him either, because then he'd eat you.
Oh yeah, I don't
Plus,
want to die by any of them. But just,
I kind of like
think-
the idea. I mean, like, yeah, it'd be painful and everything, but it's like I get to be turned into chili. I know. I feel like at least there's like he's giving back to the community.
Yeah,
He really gave it back to the community too.
yeah.
So at Universal Studios, every year for Halloween they do like these mazes, these movie themed mazes. And last year's
that's cool.
it's so fucking cool. I've done it the last 3 or 4 years, and I got my ticket. I'm going next Saturday with my friend. But last year's lineup was fucking killer. So they did Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They did Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. They did Us, the Jordan Peele movie. They did Bride of Frankenstein. They did The Exorcist. It was a killer fucking lineup. This year's lineup isn't quite as cool, but I don't really care. I think they're also doing Killer Clowns from Outer Space this year.
I was going to bring that movie up. I have that on my list. I've had it for like 2 years. Is it palatable? Can I watch this movie?
It is. It's super corny,
cartoony.
but it's intentionally cartoony.
No, but and I love campiness. Like I love campy horror. I love campy horror rock.
Yeah.
Like I love Misfit songs and the Rosedales and a lot of these bands, but I don't know, man. I've watched what's cool. I only found out like last year that you can watch trailers for some movies, which is really fun because you get that like old feel to them where they have the voiceover and like what people would have seen when that movie came out. I don't know, dude. I'm kind of dreading it.
It's worth watching. It's super corny. I would watch it with like pizza and beer. Like it's a really wacky movie.
I'll save it for like a night where I'm drinking a lot, and maybe that'll.
Yeah, don't watch it like with the mindset like, oh, I'm watching The Godfather sort of thing. So
Yeah, it's like gotta go in serious.
No, I know, and I give like I watch all different types of movies, and but they have to. I'm not a movie reviewer in the sense of like I'm just watching whatever to rate it and put it. Like no, I watch stuff that interests me. So if like it could be an Oscar-nominated movie. If it doesn't interest me, it doesn't interest me. I'm not going to watch it. Yeah. But I brought interest. That's why I watch all different types of shit. But all right, I'll do it this cycle. Yeah. But I have a feeling I'm going to fucking hate it.
You probably will. What I do love is it's pretty imaginative the way they incorporate. I won't give too much away, but the way they incorporate like circus gimmicks into the death scenes is pretty funny. So at least there's like, oh, okay, like I like what you did there, sort of thing.
Yeah,
and that was one of those movies, like if you can experience it with commentary on too, it's like you learn a lot about the filmmaking process. Yeah. And the thing about that movie is they just kept reusing the same shit over and over, as the sets, and finding different creative ways of using it. And I don't know, I think that is pretty interesting. You know what I mean, from a technical standpoint.
So trivia fact, it was made by the Kyoto brothers. It was like this family of like special effects guys. And they went on to make the puppets for Team America, World Police. So they've been in the industry for a while. But they were definitely big on sort of like, what are some like clever camera tricks that we can do? What are some cool animatronics and makeup and things like that? So it is a very hands-on made movie.
Which is very cool, and I always give credit. Like I consider things like budget, and you can't compare, a Marvel movie with something like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Even they're totally different, but it's just things like enjoyment and acting and dialogue and all that stuff. And campiness is in and of itself like a fun. Like there's good camp and there's bad camp. It's not just all the same. Right. I'm afraid this is going to be bad camp.
It's basically the plot of The Blob, but with like clowns instead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna give it a shot.
One thing that did kind of warm my heart though is when I went to Universal Studios a few years ago, they did a maze that was based on Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and it was weird because it was like that's such kind of a cult movie, and here it is now being featured as a maze at one of the biggest, one of the most famous theme parks in the world, and they have T-shirts at the gift shop of Killer Clowns. It's like, oh, this is kind of cool. It's like finally it's getting its due 30 years later or whatever. Yeah. So it is kind of, but there's also a little bit of like, no, it's my movie. Like this for the people who love this shit, who went out and spent their hard cash to buy this movie, and now it's being turned into a theme park thing. But at the same time, it is because like I just love the fact that it's being exposed to.
So it's going to happen. That's always the push pull.
Yeah. So getting back to death though. Do you guys have a favorite death scene from like, and let's try to narrow it down. Like, do you have a favorite death scene from like an 80s like slasher movie or any other cult
Like I kind of like the Jason with the with the sack, against the tree,
Yeah.
the
It's
sleeping
part 7,
bag, rather. Yeah, like that one's pretty violent. And he does it again in Jason X.
That's right.
When they do the simulation around him or whatever, I don't know. That's always a favorite for me. Like when I see it.
That was a clever one. I think one of my favorites is from Nightmare on Elm Street 3. Is the one where he cuts the kid's like his limbs open and he's using his veins as a marionette puppet.
Yeah,
that was one of my favorite deaths.
That's a good one. I love that too.
I don't know. I don't really. I'd have to think about it, to be honest. A favorite death scene.
Yeah. Or like most creative or most funny or. I like how I think it was in Friday the 13th part 2 or 3. I think it's part 2. Where like that dude in a wheelchair gets the machete to the face. It's like, oh man, he's already like, he's already paraplegic. Like, why would you put an axe in his face or a machete in his face? Oh man,
because everybody gets it. Jason was equal opportunist.
That's true. Yeah. It's like, well, you could say that was an ableist death, but he was going after the able-bodied people too. Like,
yeah, it was a very PC move on his part.
We're waiting.
I will. Okay, I do. I can think of one, but it's not from like 80. It's just horror.
Right.
Which is, I loved Midsummer, and the scene where the sacrifices or like the old people they cut their hands open and then rub it on the rune and then jump off. And I love it because it's like it was just the Chekhov's gun principle that he had that big fucking hammer, and it's like the first time he doesn't really get to use it, or I'm not sure if he gets to use it, but like that he's going to use that hammer, and then you get that, and it's like it's really grotesque but really satisfying. I just love that movie.
Yeah, Midsummer was great. I love that one.
Yeah, and I watched that one comes to mind. I was like, oh, that rules. Another like daylight horror, if I like that term, or folk horror is the Wicker Man. The original, not the Nicolas Cage one. The original, when just like I guess it's a death scene, but when the cop, Sergeant Howie, he's like being taken up to the Wicker Man, and he sees it because he's like this really stoic guy the whole time, like very conservative guy, and then he sees it and he's like loses his shit. He has that thick Scottish accent. He's just going, Christ, oh Christ. And then like that, and it's amazing that they made that thing, that they made that construction or whatever of the Wicker Man, and of course he goes in it and they set him on fire, and they're all like menacingly, maniacally singing and waving their arms. This is an amazing scene. But I thought that sticks with me. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I still need to watch the Wicker Man. I've only seen parts of it.
It's so good. Like it's really, really good.
Yeah, I'm writing a screenplay about a cult right now, so I think that would be a good inspiration for me. Right now.
Yeah, I mean
there you go.
It's so like weird, but I don't know. If you're gonna watch it soon, I won't say anything else. But it's it's a very fun and well done movie.
Did you ever watch the Nick Cage one?
Maybe parts of it. I know that we used to pregame in college. Like every Thursday, we would watch his YouTube video that you can still find. It's just called Nicolas Cage losing his shit. And it's just like him yelling in all these movies, and like that's of course in it because he loses his shit in like every movie. So it's like, oh no, not the bees,
not the bees, the bees.
Oh, I don't take your goddamn honey. And it's like we would quote that a lot. And then he's just like punching women, like running around, like punching women right in the face. It's just very jarring, so you don't see that a lot.
Yeah.
But no, maybe I've seen it, but not. I love Nick Cage too. I think he's like awesome, but like that's not the good one.
I like how he's screaming about like the method of torture, that like not the bees. It's like if you're like in a Texas Chainsaw, not the chainsaw, no, don't put the chainsaw down, no,
not the bees, you bitches, you goddamn bitches! I'd steal your fucking honey.
Did you guys ever see that movie Mandy with Nick Cage?
Yes,
that was cool.
Great. I love that movie.
Yeah, it's kind of an action horror movie, revenge.
Yeah, and like I was surprised in how well like Nicolas Cage does in the horror genre, because like the only other thing in that like like genre I've seen him do was the Vampire's Kiss one, and that one just comes off like total like comedy. You know what
Is that
I mean?
where he does like recites the whole alphabet to like a therapist or whatever?
Yeah, and he's like he's messing with his he's messing with his secretary through the whole movie. She like calls in sick. He shows up at her house. You know, it's like, oh, I brought you lunch. It's all right, just come on. And then gets her back to the office, starts treating her like shit again. Like I don't know, it was that movie was out there. Like I feel like it was a lot. That one was kind of along the lines of like American Psycho. You know what I mean? Like because he wasn't a vampire. Like at all. And like the plastic teeth, sleeping under his couch, like he had it flipped over, opening it like a coffin.
Yeah, Mandy. So I go back and forth on Nick Cage. There are times where I'm like, oh yeah, he was like I love his 80s or his 90s action movies like Con Air and like
Face Off.
Face Off. Oh, Face Off. Yeah.
Face Off it's such a ridiculous movie.
It is, but the action is so good though.
Face Off it's fun, but it's so absurd.
I mean, like talking about the suspension of disbelief. Like there's so many things that needed to go right in that movie.
Like the logic in that movie that because he took his face, then they have to put the other face on John Travolta.
They're like, yeah, you know, it works. So people won't question it. Don't worry about it.
And there's like that prison that's an island, and they have magnetic boots, and it's just like everything. Like there was no subtlety in that movie whatsoever. It's like everything needs to be like ridiculous and over the top and nonsensical. But anyway, I go back and forth on Nick Cage. There are times when I think, oh yeah, his craziness works, and there are other times like, why'd you put him in this movie? But with Mandy, he's perfect for that. His manic like obsessiveness, and so you know that big scythe thing that he gets, the big thing that he uses. Yeah. So that's based on the logo for an '80s heavy metal band called Celtic Frost. Like I think it's based on the F. I think anyway, but it was actually stylized from like some obscure metal band that he used that weapon, and it's kind of Hellraiser-y. Like there are some like weird. Like that biker gang is kind of like this weird, almost supernatural, hellish thing.
And they kind of insinuate that he's sort of becoming like them as the movie goes on. You know what I mean? Because he tasted that shit that they were drinking. You know what I mean? So it's just like I don't know. Maybe it just drives you nuts, and you know, just descend further into madness as it goes.
Yeah, that's a good one. You guys seen any good horror movies lately? Like what's like
like new stuff or
have you guys seen any new?
Oh well, I see in Jim's background, Black Phone. I saw that.
Oh yeah, wait, that's right there.
Right there.
Oh yeah, how was that?
I liked it.
I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I'd have to check what I gave it, but I liked it a lot. I thought it was really cool. I love Ethan Hawke. He's like one of my favorite actors.
Same.
I think he's really good in that, and I think the kid actor. To me, I think they've gotten a lot better over the years. Like you watch some old movies with child actors, but like child actors can ruin a movie if they're not good. They can really ruin a movie. But I think they're really good in that one. I forget what my other notes are, but I thought it was really well done and something different, like something original. Yeah.
That was based on I think a novel by Joe Hill, aka Stephen King's son.
Yep.
Oh, is that Stephen King's son?
Yeah.
Yep. And it kind of felt like it. You know what I mean? Like it had the same kind of feel, like as a lot of the Stephen King stories. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, it was kind of wild. Like,
good on him for not just using his dad's name, which he probably very easily could, and
also his name would just be Joking.
Yeah, joking.
Oh.
I would embrace that though. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Just be totally serious all the time. Just write horror and just never joke. Just I am joking.
But for like contemporary horror, I watched. I mean, it's not that new. Last year, all the Fear Street.
Oh
I thought that was cool because I like the
R.L. Stein.
I like the concept of like 3 movie length. I don't want to start new shows all the time. I don't start a lot of new shows, but that's still like an in between. where it's 3 connected movie length kind of shows.
Yeah.
And I thought they were overall like pretty good, like not the best, but I thought they were pretty good.
Yeah.
What other, like, I feel like there's not, horror doesn't come out as much anymore, or
well, there's one that came out not too long ago. It's called Barbarian.
I haven't seen that yet. I'm gonna see that.
Saw Smile.
Oh, how was that? I heard that was good.
It was like, I'll say it was decent. Like, you know, I didn't hate it, you know what I mean? But it kind of, you know what, like, have you ever seen like any of those early 2000s like curse kind of movies?
Like The Ring and the
yeah,
Grudge
it's kind of
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But it didn't have like this whole thing where it's just like, all right, you know, we gotta like have a videotape or anything like that. It kind of just it happens from like witnessing trauma, like that's how it's passed on to you. But like, my only complaint with it is like towards the end, like they got like a little wonky with like the CGI, you know, of, like, you know, because they like, you know, they're showing like the things happening and the people smiling, but like, you know, then this like kind of big tall thing shows up and it's just, it looks really weird, you know, cartoony.
I had a really
killed it.
I had a really cool marketing campaign. Did you guys see that?
Oh, with the people like at the games and stuff like that, just standing there, just like staring and smiling.
I thought that was fun. Like that stuff like that happens. But no, I have not seen that yet. Trying to think. I did not like the what was the one with Vince Vaughn where it's like the body switch?
Freaky.
Yeah. I did not really like that. It was okay. Yeah.
I saw Barbarian last week. I thought it was okay. I thought like 5% of it was unique and interesting, and the rest was just kind of like it's mostly just kind of a monster on the loose sort of movie. There was a tonal shift. I won't give much away, but there is a tonal shift. Like halfway through the movie, the first half is pretty serious and pretty suspenseful, and then the second half turns to kind of like more gross out comedy. So that kind of threw me off a little bit. I didn't. It's basically when Justin Long shows up. And it kind of turns into
Wait, that's so funny you just mentioned him, because in my head I was just thinking about Tusk.
Oh yeah.
Like, which I know is not new, but that movie is so, I forget. I was just reading old reviews of things, and I think my one of my lines is like, Tusk is like proof that God has abandoned us, and it's just like I remember watching the movie. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? It's scary and it's gross and it's depressing, but I don't know. I thought it was I can't remember if I don't know if I gave it a passing score, like where I could recommend it, but yeah, Justin Long. I don't know. Don't tell me if he dies in it or what. Okay. But he like gets fucked. He's in Jeepers Creepers too, and he gets murked. I don't know, man. I always kind of just stockpile horror movies for this time of year. Yeah. To just kind of power watch them. I don't know what I'm going to do next yet. Because I did 2. I did Texas Chainsaw Massacre and I did Hellraiser. I think I'm going to do something more contemporary I've had on there.
See, and that's another benefit of having these that I just like now thought of, like, you know, this time of year. I don't know if you guys notice, but like on the streaming services, a lot of times they want to like charge you for whatever Halloween movies are coming on, like Prime, for example. They'll have like, you know, the horror movies out like all year for free. You can watch them on Prime. But then as soon as like Halloween starts creeping around, they want to charge you for them. You know what I mean? See, with this, like I kind of can like start planning, you know, what I'm going to watch, you know, like it's easy. I can pick out 30 movies right now and that's like my month covered. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it kind of works that way too. Like, I don't know. I
think I have to get a DVD player. Like, I think I need to get one.
They're cheap now.
Yeah.
You just go to any antique store now, man.
Yeah, pretty much. Like,
well, I grew up. We had so many movies growing up. We had like that, like a library of movies, but a lot of them were VHSs. We had like the entire Disney catalog and so many different. I remember the first DVD I ever got was The Count of Monte Cristo. I remember that. I don't know
DiCaprio?
why. No, not DiCaprio.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the Man in the Iron Mask.
Yeah, you're thinking of the Man.
But it's the same author, though, right?
That was a good movie.
What it was Dumas?
Yeah, Alexandre
Dumas. Yeah. Yeah, did he write Man in the Iron Mask? Yeah, he wrote Count of Monte Cristo. No, it's the guy who plays. I think it's the guy who plays Jesus in The Passion of the Christ.
Oh, something Cavaziel,
Cavaziel or something. Yeah, and it's of course, what's his name? Guy Pearce.
Oh,
Guy Pearce plays his like friend, an ex-friend, right?
Oh.
But yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
Well,
is there anything else we should touch on? We can definitely do this again because Joe and I could always talk horror movies.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. Yeah, I think it's about time to wrap up. I'm going to a show tonight, so I should probably start getting ready.
What are you seeing?
I'm going to the Whiskey A Go Go to see a shitty '80s heavy metal band. Like you
love to go see shitty like cover bands and stuff.
This is not a cover band. This is actual like they're just washed up. Who is it? Killer Dwarfs. They're from Canada.
Are they little people?
No, they're not. Unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that would have been much more exciting.
But I'm probably spending Halloween at the Whiskey though. They're doing a Halloween costume party, and I people always tell me I look like Slash anyway, so it's like.
What's that little place? The Vampire Hut or whatever?
Oh,
is that in the Rainbow?
That's the Rainbow. Yeah.
Oh,
Hollywood Vampires. Yeah.
You should go there.
They're having a costume party a week before Halloween for some stupid reason, but I am going to that too.
All right.
Yeah. But all right, this was a lot of fun. Thanks for coming on, Jim.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course, man. And we should definitely do this again. Like, anytime like some interesting new horror stuff comes up, we should just come and get together and nerd out. And
definitely.
Yeah, thanks for being such a great. Oh, and I do want to say, you and your wife are like my favorite couple on Twitter. Like the way you guys interact with each other, and you guys have the same interests. Like you guys are fucking adorable together. So I'm glad to be a follower of you two.
I appreciate it. And I'm sure she'll like appreciate to hear that too. She always loves the compliments.
And hey, if you guys ever end up in LA, definitely hit me up. Stay at my place. I'll show you around. There's lots of horror stuff to do around here.
Definitely.
But all right, everyone, stay reckless.
Stay reckless, Jim.
All right.